Welcome to LOTC Presents Black Glove Mysteries, where every other Friday we will take you on a journey through Italian cinema, specifically giallo, but we reserve the right to take other avenues such as polizieschi, spaghetti westerns, Euro crime films. Either way, you will hear and now see us talk Italian cinema. This is episode 434, double 65 if you're keeping up. And I'm your host, Greg Mortis, along with Ian Irza. What's going on, Ian?
I am young, hot, and pissed off, Greg.
well, now. What quote's it from?
2B20.
Love it. We are back tonight. I'm super excited, man. We are continuing our look into Fernando Di Leo. And tonight we're doing two films. First one that we'll be actually reviewing is from 1969. Was it 69? No,
Was it
71.
that? Yeah, I think it was a little later than that. Yeah.
Slaughter Hotel, aka Asylum Erotica, and a few other ones. So that is the first one we're going to be looking at. Klaus Kinski. Look at that beautiful Blu-ray that Ian's got there. And the second one we're going to be looking at is his 2B20. And Ian and I both have this Raro video DVD there. So 2B20. This was never released on Blu-ray, right? I don't think.
It was, and it's one of those Blu-rays that's now out of print. Like you can get it for $200 or something like
Ooh.
that. Yeah,
Oh,
I think it
well,
was on Amazon. Like, yeah, if you have the Blu-ray, you're in a good spot, I guess.
good job. We'll let you
Get
know.
rid of it. I mean, I don't even know how much better the Blu-ray looks than the DVD, truth be told, because the DVD transfer is
Right.
fine, but it's very grainy.
There's some
Yeah.
scenes that you can tell that were grainy. It was almost like maybe they had one of the prints that they just kind of threw in. But either or, we're back and we're here talking about these two films, so we're super excited. Ian, you went to a show last night. We got to talk about this before we get into the podcast. But Ian, you went to see a concert last night, which we would have normally recorded on that night. Means nothing to you guys. Just it was off on our night because Ian, you went to see who?
Def Leppard.
Yes. Dude, I am so jealous, man. Def Leppard, I think you said the Struts opened up for him.
Yeah.
Man, that had to be a killer show, dude.
It
Oh,
was for sure. And I didn't even know much about the Struts. I had tried listening to their music and I thought it was all right, but I did like them live a lot more. I thought that their energy was good. And I think a lot of people felt the same way. A lot of people were getting into their stuff. You know, you could tell people were probably just thinking, we just want to get to Def Leppard already. And they ended up being really good. So yeah, and then Def Leppard played like 18 songs, pretty much any song you would have wanted to hear by them, they played. So
wow. So
yeah.
that's what I love to hear. I love to hear that. And assuming his voice was sounding good. And
Yeah.
I mean, at his age, I know he did back when they were getting ready to go into the Hall of Fame several years back. Man, there was this deal where he was making his comeback, and man, he was sounding rough. But I mean, he had took a lot of time off, and I mean, the guy's voice, it happens, right? It's just natural. But it seems like he has really gotten his voice, his vocals back up to par and everything. So that's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that. But
Well, and sometimes it's like you may not be able to hit the high notes like you once did, but you can modify it and you could still do something. If you can modify it and still do something well with it, it works. And for him, whatever he does works really well live. And for example, like it works better than someone like David Lee Roth. Let's put it that way. David Lee Roth's live, not particularly good.
yeah,
So, yeah,
I tell you, man, it's a good thing when you can tune down a note or maybe drop a whole note down when you're playing instrument wise because it helps you bring your vocals down a little bit. So I'm
yeah.
sure they're doing that. So that's awesome. But like I said, tonight, man, we're going to be checking out these two films, and I cannot wait to get into these. One very visceral, one very erotica. Oh, let me flip it over. Yeah, there you go. So you can see it. But that's what we're going to be covering tonight, and then we're going to get back into some Giallo soon too. So have no fear. I've enjoyed this little trip down Fernando, man. A director that was off my radar, and we've seen what eight eight of his films or something like that. I can't.
Six, yeah. And he's kind of the crime king. I think we know that. He's one of the four guys who you would know for the crime film, and that was almost all he did. Like this Slaughter Hotel is the only giallo he did, probably for good reason, honestly. And 2B20 is kind of a weird, like, I don't even know how to classify this movie. Sex
Sex romp.
comedy,
Yeah, like a sex romp, maybe.
yeah, that turns into an exploitation movie at the end. So yeah, it's an interesting one, interesting casserole of a movie there.
Yeah, weird. But we'll get into it. So I think what we're going to do, without further ado, we'll get right into our first feature film, which will go in chronological order. So we're going to go with the Slaughter Hotel from 1971, starring Klaus Kinski. So, Ian, go ahead and take it away if you don't mind with the plot, sir.
All right. So, Fernando Di Leo's Italian exploitation horror cult classic stars a terminally creepy doctor played by Klaus Kinski, of course, at an asylum for suicidal and disturbed women. There's a team of strange doctors, unprofessional nurses, and even a hunky gardener at these ladies' service to help them recover. In classic giallo form, director Fernando Di Leo introduces a mad raving murderer, typically dressed in black and using the institution's old-fashioned armory decoration as slashing tools. Margaret Lee and Rosalba Neri are among the frequently unclothed cast. There are decapitations, crossbow bolts in the eye, and some fairly explicit sex. No kidding.
Yeah.
This gory slasher flick with more than its fair share of nudity is a Euro grindhouse gem.
Well, we'll let you know if we think it's a gym or not. So we are Slaughter Hotel, a hotel, aka Asylum Erotica, aka Cold Blooded Beast. It is a form of a giallo. We will give them that. We do have a masked killer or a black cloaked
He's wearing
killer.
like a hooded thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because at the very beginning of the movie, we see the killer from behind. And if you know anything about anything, and I don't think we'll spoil this necessarily, but it looks like Klaus Kinski from the back because of the hair. It's like you see the head of hair and you're thinking Klaus Kinski immediately. Uh, or at least I did. And then he puts on this mask, whatever, black stocking, whatever you want to call it over his head. And that's what you see through the whole movie is that. Um, it, it's one of those movies that Ian, I swear, when I'm watching it, it was so many things going on, but it was not in a cohesive way for me. It was so scatterbrained.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you on that. I mean, I just think that there really isn't a whole lot of interesting stuff going on in this. Like you have a lot of characters and all of these women who are in the asylum for various reasons, including Rosalba Neri playing the nymphomaniac. I think if anything, she's the highlight.
Yeah.
Um, you have the professor played by what's his name, John Carlson, I think, the sort of older doctor. You've got Margaret Lee playing this woman, Cheryl, I think is her name, whose husband has her in the asylum for whatever reason. And yeah, and she sort of has a liking for Klaus Kinski for whatever reason.
Right.
But the problem is I think like, normally think about a movie like The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave, right? The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave is a film that does a lot with its location, right? It's really good in a classic Gothic film because of its location. Here, you have an asylum, and to me, you just don't really do much with it. Um, like there's not much atmosphere to this movie, and the location just isn't really used in an interesting way, other than how ridiculous it is that there's like weaponry and cutlery all over the wall in one room for whatever
Exactly.
reason.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
I
you got
mean,
like a battle axe, you got all these different swords and just all these things, and you're like, what? You even got the Iron Maiden. I mean, there's some weird stuff in this asylum. I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on. Weird. Why is it? I mean, what was it before the asylum? Because it was converted over to an asylum. It wasn't an asylum at first, so whatever this building was, they converted it. I don't know. It's just odd. I mean, you had to have a place that had to killing utensils, right? So why not have a room set aside for medieval, uh, whatever. I totally agree with you on the cast, man. I think the highlight was definitely Rosalba Nera. I think, and not just because of her beauty, but because of her acting and everything. She was kind of the only interesting part for me in this movie. The rest of them are just kind of a bore. It's kind of a yawn. And even Klaus Kinski doing what Klaus Kinski's doing, um, it was hard to save this movie. It was really hard to make this movie because when I'm done watching it, I'm trying to remember like what happened in this movie because it just felt like they were taking scenes and just putting them into a movie, but not worrying about point A to point B to C or whatever. It was just gathered together. Let's just throw everything at the screen and see if something sticks. But unfortunately, nothing really stuck for me. It's so I don't know, man. Margaret Lee as Cheryl, her character was a little weird. You know, like you said, having the fling. She's married, but she's having this fling with the doctor, and I didn't get why, like you said, why was she in there? Why was the husband putting her in there? I never was able to get a clear explanation to that, I guess, is what the answer would be. And maybe she was just yoking up with the doctor just so she could get, try to get out or something. I don't know. There's a lot to not like about this movie, but there's some to like. I'm not going to completely crap on this movie. There are some good stuff in this movie.
There are a couple of suspense sequences. There is one really good suspense sequence to me
Mhm.
where there's some misdirection involving the nurse and Mara. There's
Yeah.
that scene where Mara is in the bathtub and like you really think the killer is coming in to get her,
Mhm.
and it turns out to be someone else. And I actually thought that that was a really good suspense sequence. And even the sequence where you're waiting, you know, when she's hanging over the balcony, when Mara's hanging over the balcony,
Yeah.
and you're just waiting for something to happen. That's a good sequence. Like there are a couple of good suspense sequences here.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And that the crossbow thing, perfect. That was a great scene altogether.
Another problem is I didn't so and I didn't time it 100%, but the killer doesn't kill anyone at the beginning, right? You're kind of teased with the killer killing someone right at the beginning, but it doesn't happen. It
Right.
isn't until 30 minutes in or so that the killer kills anybody, and when he does kill the first person, it's like a nurse you've never seen.
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't mean anything, you know. So just like the like, and I think I don't know how many movies we've talked about this before, but it's like you gotta like, for example, one of the movies that does this really well is Friday the 13th, right? You get the sort of double kill for the cold open at the beginning, then you get Robbie Morgan getting killed in the Jeep like what 15 minutes in or something.
Yeah.
That's an example of a good of a movie that really does a good job spreading out its kills, but also giving you something right at the beginning for some impact.
Yeah.
This movie did not do that.
No, it was a cold opening, right? And I totally agree with you. What and I feel like maybe if we would have been giving a really good, and it didn't have to necessarily be a kill, but if we were given some kind of opening that was really interesting, like I said, didn't have to be a kill, but if you would have gave us some kind of intro that was like the solid, we didn't get that. We just got kind of this cold opening of a movie, and I'm like, okay, okay, we're into the movie. And like you said, like 30 minutes in before we start seeing it, and I'm like, what the heck, dude? And it's a 97-minute movie. To be honest, I could have done half of this movie. I could have been like, just give me half of this movie, and I would have been great with it because I just felt
Well,
like it was so, I don't know, man. It was weird.
there's a scene of Rosalba Neri and a body double that goes
Yeah.
on way too long, and I understand why it's here. I understand why it's there, but it's like really like
Yeah.
um and in this movie for those listening, like you get full on like vagina
Yeah.
shots in this movie. Like it is really explicit with some of like the masturbation and sex scenes in it. So
Yeah. And that was what threw
if
me.
you're into that, go for it. I mean, and it's not like I'm not gonna sit here and deny that I didn't like it,
Right.
but
Right.
it's like what is it really adding to the movie, you know?
Nothing, nothing. Other than the fact, now I will say this though, we do know that her character, and we're talking about Rosalba Nera, who played Anne. We do know that she's a nymphomaniac, right? So we get that throughout the movie. There's no denying that. But that scene just came out of nowhere, and like you said, it went way too long. I mean, it was just like so in your face, and I'm thinking like, what is Fernando going with here? What is the overall outcome that you want out of this? Are we watching uh nothing really came out of that other than seeing, up close vagina. Like, okay, but there was nothing that transpired from that. So it's like, to me, it was just like, oh, let me just, maybe I need to do something sexploitated. So let me just throw this in the movie. It made no sense, Ian. It made no sense whatsoever.
I enjoy when you're introduced to her when she's
Uh,
like talking to her brother and she's like, why, like she basically outright says like, why can't we love each other like we did when we were kids? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is
right.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was so confused. I'm like, oh, so we're really into family. That's interesting. Okay.
The part when she seduces the gardener, I gotta say, is kind of entertaining. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. I actually
Um,
really enjoyed that scene. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like there are moments with her, and I didn't even realize until later that she was the one in the shower. Remember, there's like that one shower scene where she's like, there's like that not even a shower, but almost like a steam room shower where it's her.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. They had all that. Yeah. And she was going across the wall and everything. I got
yeah.
you. Yeah. So that was her.
Yeah, it was
Interesting. Huh?
supposed to be because I think in this movie they show flashbacks for certain characters, and at one point she has a flashback, and that's her in the shower supposedly.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was her because it's hard to tell with her hair all wet and everything like that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Totally. So there is so much going on. We do have a beheading with a scythe that I thought was
yes,
good. I like that.
there are
So
some good kills in here. It's just when they happen is the problem.
yeah.
Because even towards the end, you get a ton of them, and at the end, when you get a ton of those kills, it's actually kind of hilarious because it's just a bunch of people sitting there not fighting back
Yeah.
about what's going on. I'm like, really? Like, there's like 5 or 6 people, and they're all just sitting there getting hit, and I'm like, what? None of you are trying to fight back. There's like so
Right.
many of them, so many of you compared to one of him. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I totally I totally agree with you. Let me ask you this now. The editing in this movie was by Amedeo Giamini. D- Do you feel like maybe there was like another alternate version of this movie that we didn't see, or do you feel like that maybe the editor just Fernando had to sign off on this thing? But I'm thinking like, is there a different edit this movie? I feel like there was something missing in this movie that we didn't get, or something. I don't know. I just felt that way. I just felt like there's and obviously there isn't. I mean, it's 1971 now. Here we are in 2025, and nothing's ever transpired from it. So clearly there wasn't. I just felt like there was something in an edit somewhere that we missed, and that I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure. I just think that they added a lot of the explicit scenes in afterwards because I refuse to believe that it's all Roselba Neary doing that whole scene. Like there's no way. Like I'm thinking there's no way there has to be a body double for some of those close up shots.
There,
Like
yeah, I did trivia, and there was a body double. You can
yeah.
tell because she has a scar. They were mentioning the scar, and you'll see one of the scenes
Oh,
where there's a
okay.
scar down there on her stomach area, lower region, and then when they're doing the dirty scene, it's not there. So you can clearly tell that it was a body double. So yeah, this is such a odd scene. It's so odd. Wow. But what do you think of the music, Silvano Spadaccino?
I actually thought the music was pretty good. There's some good music in this, in both movies, but this one, I'm having a hard time remembering all of it right at the moment. But I do remember liking it. Like there's a theme that I like from it for sure.
Yeah, same, totally. And like I said, we talked about the kills for a second there. The kills were really good. I mean, they were really. You got the crossbow scene was great. I thought the scythe scene was really good. So those kills were good. I felt like it should have been more cohesive of a movie with these kills instead of getting them all at one time, or you know what I mean, or 30 minutes in, like maybe give us something a little extra to kind of help this movie get along. But what do you think of Klaus Kinski in this one?
I mean, he's not really doing a whole lot. I think just having him there makes throws suspicion on him, but it's not necessarily one of his more memorable roles to me. I actually thought John Carlson may have been even more interesting than he was, just because he seems to be into his patients a little bit more, and I like the scene between him and Rosalba Neary's character, where he's like, where she says, I just like making love. And he's like, well, you just like making love too much. So that's, there's some funny moments like that.
Yeah,
I mean, I think Klaus Kinski enough by himself is enough to warrant suspicion, which is a compliment to him,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But I don't really know how much he's really doing in this movie. Out of all the Italian movies I've seen him in, this is one where his presence is not really felt all that much.
Yeah, I totally agree. I felt like it wasn't that he was coasting through it. It's just that his character really had no development to really,
Yeah.
like you said, he was there for suspicion, and that's completely it. That's all you get out of him. And John Carlson, like you mentioned, who plays Professor Osterman, I like the character and where it goes, but I don't know. What do you think of Fernando? Because we got to get to your the All Stars and everything, but Fernando Ciroli up there again with Augusto.
Yeah, I enjoyed seeing him again. I don't remember like if he's not in the film too much as he like
Oh,
yeah, yeah, he's just
the
in the film a
Flash.
little bit, but I remember seeing him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Flash, but he's like that in most of the movies, right? He's
Yeah.
not really
But
seen
he
him.
has a memorable face. Like if he's there, he's there. You know, you
I
see
know.
him,
I
you're
get
like, "Oh, there he is."
Yeah, I tell Pearl all the time. I'll be like, "There's so and so," and even if I don't remember their name, I'm like, "Oh man, there's so and so." Dude, I love it. Monica Strebel, who played Nurse Helen, she was cool. I like her. Like you
Yeah,
said,
she was kind of interesting. Her relationship with Mara is like really weird. There's that whole, again, really explicit sequence where Mara's on her back and you just see her rubbing her over and over and over again. And they have their own affair of sorts going on, which, maybe for the time, I got to say is somewhat progressive. You've got a white woman, black woman, lesbian relationship. That's kind of interesting for the time.
right, right, definitely. Who else do we have in this one that we would have recognized other than who we've mentioned? Ruth, Gioe Desideri, who played Ruth.
Oh,
Our
yeah, is she the blonde one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
she's the
did I
blonde one who gets committed at the beginning, right? Where
exactly?
she's yeah.
Was
Um,
Night of the Scorpion.
I haven't seen her in anything else. She's in a lot of movies. Well, 12 movies.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I'm pretty sure the movie Night of the Scorpion, the Night of the Scorpion, which was 1972, Alfonso Balcazar. I'm pretty sure I have seen her in that. I know I've seen that movie somewhere down the line.
hmm.
So I think
Oh,
that's
it's on
probably,
Arrow. It might be
yeah.
part of one of Arrow's collections or something. It's on
Yeah, I'm
Arrow
pretty
streaming.
sure that's probably where I've seen it. So I knew I recognized her from something, and that must have been it. Uh, but yeah. So character wise, I mean, Jane Garrett, who played Mara, her character was okay. We already talked about her for a minute. So overall, I mean, what I don't even know. Like, did we have a dubbing? Do we need to do a dubbing in this one? Do we have a dubbing corner or anything like that at all?
So let me think here. I got to go back to the page.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think, well, actually, I might be able to just do it from Wikipedia because I can't remember the buttons I have to push. Sorry.
No,
Uh,
you're fine.
I just kind of lost it. So, John Carlson, I don't remember, I don't exactly know who he's dubbed by, but I've heard that voice before. It might be Cyril Cusack. I think that might be who's dubbing him. Ted Rusoff is dubbing the guard. No, no, I think it's Michael Forrest actually, who's dubbing. Oh boy, Gian Giacomo Elia as the gardener.
Hmm.
Marg Not Margaret Lee. Rosalba Neary, I think, is dubbed by Carolyn DeFonseca. And the woman playing Ruth, I think, is dubbed by Sue Spafford. Or no, no, sorry, it's the nurse. Monica Strebel as the nurse is
Okay.
dubbed by Susan Spafford. Yep.
Okay.
I think that there's three I know and one I think I know was Cyril Cusack dubbing John Carlson as a professor.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Um, do you like the title that the Blu-ray had? What do you prefer? We got the of course what we've got it under, which is Slaughter Hotel, but you're also Asylum Erotica or Cold Blooded Beast.
Asylum Erotica is more fitting, I would say.
100%. And I think it should have been released under that name personally.
It also sounds more like a B exploitation movie than Slaughter Hotel does. Slaughter Hotel actually sounds like a Giallo title.
It does, and I think this does have some Giallo moments, so I'm not saying it's not, but I would have preferred if they would have stuck with the title Asylum Erotica personally. Cold Blooded Beast, no, that doesn't fit this movie in my opinion. But I don't know. It's just weird how when these names pop up, if they do like an American release, it goes under this or whatever. So I thought that was kind of cool. And let's see, what else was this? Oh, they said that the asylum in this movie was actually in the 1966 Murder Clinic a movie. I've not seen the Murder Clinic.
I have not either. I've heard of it. I've
Mhm.
heard of it, but I haven't actually watched it. That might be interesting to watch just to see the how it compares, and maybe they use the location a little bit better than this movie did. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, right? Lionel De Felice was the director of the Murder Clinic, so 1966 Giallo. We'll check that out. We'll get in and look at that because I want to see what they did because they didn't. You're right. They did nothing with this one. I would have liked to went down some corridors or done something, but we really didn't. We got the scene where the killer's going through picking out the whatever he's going to use to kill, which was a little lame. But we got that, and then other than that, it's just a couple rooms here or there. It really we're outside a few times with patients playing what's that called, cricket, like that. Such an odd scene with cricket
Croquet.
playing
Yeah.
croquet or whatever. It's like what are we
Yeah.
doing? Like, okay, I don't get it.
I actually like the reveal. I will say that much. I actually thought the reveal was pretty good.
Yeah, because I can tell you who I thought it was throughout the whole movie, and they got me with the swerve because I really was thinking it was somebody who I mentioned earlier. So
Hmm.
when it wasn't, I'm like, okay, and then who it was that was
I
fitting.
expected it to be the gardener over who it ended up
Oh,
being, truth be
really?
told. So there you go.
Hey,
Like I didn't and the gardener wasn't necessarily my first pick, but I'm just saying like there were other people I thought it could have been than who it ended up being. And
yeah.
who it ended up being wasn't like so out of left field to where it was ridiculous or one of those things where it's like, well, you haven't seen this person enough. No, they're there enough for
Oh,
to
yeah.
give you a possible hint that they're involved. So
Yeah,
it
and it
was a
makes
good reveal.
Yeah, it makes sense that they were the killer, in my opinion. So, I mean, that's a win. Let's see. Screenplay was by Fernando and also Nino Latino. When we mentioned this, it was 97 minutes long. This was also Franco Villa, and I think Franco Villa did he not do? I'm pretty sure he did a couple other Fernando films as cinematography.
Franco
So,
Villa.
yeah. And I didn't mind it. Like I thought it was shot well. I'm not, there are some grainy scenes, but that's here or there for him. That's film sales. But I didn't mind the filming of it itself. I think they did some decent camera work on it.
Well, he did the three movies we covered. He did Caliber 9, Italian Connection, and The Boss.
There
So
you go.
there you go. Someone else must have done Rulers of the City, but Villa did the whole Milieu trilogy, so that's good for him.
Nice. They said that this movie was AIP, which was released in the United States in 1972, and that was under the Slaughter Hotel and Asylum Erotica. And I was reading on here, and I know you've seen it too, that it was shown on double and triple bills. Now, this is a pretty good one. I mean, if you think about it, it was released along with sometimes with the Twitch of the Death Nerve, right? And
Yeah.
Don't Look at the Basement. So, Don't Look in the Basement and Twitch of the Death Nerve with
Oh
this one.
wow. Hmm.
That would be a cool little triple feature.
Yeah.
I could go down for that one. And it was released by Media Blasters back in the day. And Shriek Show, you
Hmm.
gotta like some Shriek Show. So overall, man, not a horrible flick. It's just a flick that needed to make a little more sense to me. It just needed to have some more continuity. The sex scene out of nowhere, the masturbation scene was just way too long and just really it was eye catching, eye shocking because I just didn't expect it to be there, right? It's just like, what in the world? Why do we have this? What else you got for Slaughter Hotel?
So I just have like my Hall of Fame rankings too.
Yes, let's get to that. Absolutely.
So I think this is Klaus Kinski's fifth film that we've done. So that would make him technically an all-time great because he is a star. For a few dollars more, Footprints on the Moon, Death Smiles on a Murderer, Slaughter Hotel, Double Face.
Double face.
Yes, and then Margaret Lee, she is a superstar now because she was in this one Slaughter Hotel, Dorian Gray, and Double Face. That's three. I remember her in Double Face actually. So this is the second time she's worked with Klaus Kinski on the
Nice.
show. Roselle Bonneri, I mean, let me look at this. I know she's got to be in a lot of films that we've done, or at least a few. Well, Big Guns, Girl in Room 2A. So that's three. That would make her a superstar.
Mhm.
There's probably a couple more that we'll end up doing by her at some point with her in it. Amok being one that's we haven't done on the show. I know you've covered it on another
Yeah.
show,
Yeah.
but
I will be
yeah.
glad to recover that one again.
Oh yeah, so would I. Yeah. John Carlson, what's interesting about him, even though I think so Footprints on the Moon is the only other movie we've done, so that makes him an all-star. But he was in the church as the older priest, if you remember, the older priest in the
Oh, yeah.
church.
Yeah. I got it.
Yep.
Yeah. The church.
And then Cerulli has to be in the Hall of Fame. He's done he's done a ton of he's done a ton of stuff.
Oh,
Caliber 9, The Boss, next one to be 20, Death Smiles on a Murder, Rules of the City. So he's easily been in. That's I think this is his fifth film. I can't think of any other people that are too notable for this one. I will say I kind of like the police when they show up at the end because they're chastising everybody. They're like, "Why
yeah,
didn't you call us sooner?" That sort of thing. So
yeah.
they're pretty funny when they show up, although they're pretty incompetent as well. So yeah.
And let's do this. Let the listeners know again how you're doing for those that are just tuning in that haven't heard your all-star ranking and your how you come up with that as far as
Okay.
the what it means to be all-star, superstar, that kind of deal.
So yeah, and I will give a shout out to the Grind Bin podcast because they're kind of someone who does this as well, where if you're in more than one film on their show, I think they call you an all-star. And then I don't remember if they actually have a ranking like I do, but for example, like Charles Bronson is a Hall of Famer on their show because they've done a ton of his movies.
Nice.
So the ranking I have is if you're in two movies, you're an all-star. If you're in three, you're a superstar. If you're in four, you're a Hall of Famer. If you're in five, you're an all-time great, except you have to be a person who's like a star. Like you have to be a person who's like top build. If you're kind of a character actor in the background, I'll say you're in the Hall of Fame, but if you're not like, top three build in some of these movies, it's a little different. Like someone like Fernando Cerulli, for example, could be a Hall of Famer, but I wouldn't call him an all-time great because he's kind
Yeah.
of just in the background. Or Fulvio Mengozi, who's been in so many films we covered, like a bunch of Dario Argento films where he's just in the background.
Mhm.
So he would be an example of someone who's a Hall of Famer because he's been in a ton of movies, but he won't be an all-time great. To me, it would be like separating Michael Jordan and someone like Frank Ramsey. As much as I like Frank Ramsey, who was on the '60s Celtics and won a bunch of championships, you don't think of him in the same ways you do Michael Jordan.
Right.
So yeah,
Makes
that's
sense.
my logic.
Yeah, no, that's perfect logic, man. It makes sense. I mean, you got all stars, and then you got players that help you be an all star. Totally get that, man. So cool. So that was just for you listening and viewing. That's how Ian comes up with this, and I love it. I love it. So anything else on this one before we get to our rating?
Not that I could think of. I think I pointed everything out that I wanted to say about it. I just think I think your way of saying it is a little bit different from the way I'm saying it, where I just think they didn't do as much with this location as they should have.
Mm,
The sex scenes, while aesthetically pleasing, are not really adding anything to the film.
no,
And just the amount of time that goes by, like the amount of time between the kills and everything, just isn't as well done as I think it could have been.
100%. So from a 1 to 10, where you come in on this one?
I'm actually giving it a 6. Like I'm not terribly harsh on it. I just think it could have been a much better movie.
Yeah, I'm a 6.5 on it personally. Um, Not, and I'm like you. I'm not saying it's like a horrible. I would still say check it out, but I would not go out and necessarily buy this or anything like that. I would definitely see if it's streaming somewhere later on. But 6.5 for me, six for Ian, and it's Slaughter Hotel, aka what we got? Asylum Erotica. We also got Cold Beast, blah blah. What is it? Cold Blooded Beast, which I really still don't understand that name. Or if you're doing it in Italian, let's see if I can do this. La Bestia Uccida a sangue freddo. There you go. Uh, do not butcher me because I'm not Italian. I wish I could, man. I got to speak some Italian. All right, so let's get to our last feature review tonight, Ian, and we're going to 1978. We're in the time machine. We're going from 71, jumping all the way up into 78. And I think we're going to be in for a doozy for this one. It's 1978's To Be 20. Uh, Give us the plot synopsis, brother.
Okay, so 20, beautiful, sexy, and liberated, and fed up with their provincial lives, Leah and Tina decide to hitchhike their way to Rome to find a commune where they can stay and live the life of free love, or so they think. Things don't go as they had planned, though, and soon they become involved in prostitution, the police, and an aggressive gang, which all culminates with a brutal and unexpected violent end. Sex and politics caused the censoring of many Italian films of the 60s and 70s, and included in this two-disc edition of 2B20 are the theatrical censored version and the original uncensored director's cut version never seen before available on DVD in the US.
To Be 20, there it is. And Ian and I both got the cool little slip cover case. This is the other art, which is kind of cool. It's pretty neat, man. I was pleased. As soon as you ordered it, I said, "Damn it, I'm gonna order it too." And I said, "I gotta have that daggone thing." And now that I own what six, I think six of the movies now from Fernando, so I own more of his movies than some of my favorite directors, whatever. But let's get into it here. Let's break it in. We do have two lovely ladies here that are kind of, and let me do this. What happened to my video? My video just cut out. So sorry, listeners. I don't know. It will pop back on. Need help with camera slate. It will pop back on here in a minute, I think.
Could
Uh,
be a Zoom thing.
it
Zoom can
probably
sometimes be like that. Yeah.
it probably is. I probably bumped something and made it go out, so maybe we can get it back on. Yep, okay, I see what I did here. Let's cut it back. Sorry, YouTubers. You're like, what are you doing, Greg? I don't know why it's not coming back on, Ian. I don't know what the hell. Oh well. Um, I don't know what's going on, Ian. I'm gonna put it. So apologize about that. My video has completely went out. Now we're back, Ian. We're back, and we're talking to B20. So I don't remember exactly where we left off. So that video editing there, guys. There you go.
We did the synopsis and that was about it.
Yeah, that's
So
it. So we're getting into this movie here, 2B20, and there is. I think what I was going to get to, Ian, was I was going to go into the difference. I did watch both versions. You mentioned there is a director's cut, and then there is a theatrical cut in this one, and the theatrical cut is the edited version. So we'll get into some of that. And let you know, kind of the differences. But we originally watched, and it's in Italian, the director's cut, and it actually rolled well, right? I thought the editing was good in it. It was smooth, but we get this ending that we'll talk about in a few minutes. But we open up with the two girls, tractor girls that are trying. They're just hitchhiking across the city, right? They're just trying to get to Rome or wherever they're going. Odd, Ian. I'm like, these girls half dressed, like we're watching these two and we're thinking, what in the world are we up to? And then we see what they kind of want to go into. But what did you think of the opening? Did like instantly I felt this is going to be a sex rom. This is going to be one of them comedy type films. The music's very upbeat. It's very happy. Like the music is very get up and everything. So I was thinking instantly, like, what are we watching here? I think we're just watching like a sex romp. Is that kind of what you felt?
yeah, I mean, this movie, it's kind of interesting because it could easily be confused with, like, at least to me, an Italian art house film. Like, it could have been, it seems like a movie that someone like Bertolucci or Visconti could have made just because it's about, um, it's about these two women, one of them, I'd say more so than the other, who are like, they almost like reverse gender roles of how aggressive they are with their sexuality,
Yeah.
Tina especially, like, and there it's just them at the beginning kind of getting into mischief and, like I said, just kind of being more liberated and sexually forward than you might expect women to be. I mean, there's that part where they go to get Marlboros and he's like, Marlboros for a blowjob, and the guy's like put off by it
Yeah.
because that kind of sexuality from a woman probably could scare most men if they're like that forward about it, you know. So
Yeah.
I thought that that was an interesting aspect. You get that scene later in the movie where she's with the I think the professor, the one that Daniele Vargas played. We saw him recently in Eyeball,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
she's like, you know, she's supposedly handing out these encyclopedias, and
Mm.
then she keeps telling him to say the word culture over and over again. It's a very memorable scene where
As
she
she's masturbating, basically.
yeah, exactly. It's that's one of the more memorable scenes of the movie. That and the scene where they're both on video, like explaining who their family is. Like there are a lot of memorable moments. The part where they steal the sandwiches from the store and they steal a bunch of stuff, put it in this bag, and they're like passing this bag back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how the stuff stayed in the bag while they were throwing it back and forth, but whatever. And then the scene in the coffee shop where they basically take take a guy's sexuality and reverse it on him, right? Where he's like hitting on them. He's like, yeah, I get off later. I can let you have this coffee for free. And then they tell the guy up front, they're like, hey, he was gonna give us the coffee for free. And the guy's like, "What are you doing?"
And
So
tell you that we knew because he gets off at 4. They even said, yeah, he gets off 4. So see, we definitely knew.
right.
That's an odd scene. Like, I totally agree with you. Like the grocery store scene was funny. It was like they go in, you knew they didn't have no money, and they're eating a sandwich, and the old guy's like getting the worker, and they're like, oh, and they go, that was fun. There's so many of those moments, Ian, that were kind of weird. Um, Tina being the more sexually driven of the two, for sure. The culture scene with the encyclopedia guy was classic, dude. That one was so funny, and it translates over into the theatrical version. So the theatrical version is not dubbed; it's actually, or it's dubbed. It's English dubbed, and that scene is in there in the same way. You know, we've seen a lot of times when it goes from Italian to English, they differentiates, right? But no, in that other version, they still have the whole do the culture, say the culture, culture, and he keeps saying culture. I was like, Pearl and I, and my wife, man, we're laughing. This is such a fun scene. It's like culture, culture, and then he gets up to go touch her, and so no, don't touch me. Culture, keep saying culture. So good. So that one did translate over in the English dub version as well. So that was that one. But Tina was the one that was really, I thought, really the heavy sex driven guy or gal, right? She's the
Yeah,
one
I would say
really.
so.
I think Leah was played by Gloria Giddy. I think she was a little bit more just taken back a little bit, right? She's a little bit more. I don't want to call her reserved, but she was a little more reserved than Tina's character for sure.
Right.
Uh, Even where
Well,
she goes up to the guy that's asleep out on the tree and she starts trying to make out with him, and he's high or asleep or whatever was going on. And um, which was Ray Lovelock, by the way, Rico. But that was an odd scene too,
yeah,
boy.
I liked Ray Lovelock in this
Yeah.
movie. He's just so friggin' lazy. Like his character just seems like he all he likes to do is sit around and get stoned or something, nothing else, And he's at one point he even talks about how he's not that interested in sex. I think it's and then Tina kind of manages to get him into it somehow. But the part I do like the part where they're all captured by the police, and then Ray Lovelock is just trolling the police guy the whole time. He's like, you have to pay money for drugs. He's like, no, they're free. And it's like
Yeah.
all this stuff. Like he ends up getting beat up because he's just trolling this cop the whole
Yeah.
time in this arrest interview. I like the part where the cops are like, there's triplets there, and he's like, arrest them too.
Yeah. They're babies. Like, what are we arrested? Like, what in the world? Oh my God, Ian.
Did you recognize the woman who played Patrizia with the short hair?
No, who was that? She's
That
the
was
mother of the triplets.
Yeah, that was Daniela Doria from all the Lucio Fulci movies.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's her. That's the same woman from City of the Living Dead who like vomits up her own
I
intestines, who
did
gets
not
the knife
recognize.
through the mouth and House by the Cemetery, and then in New York Ripper, she gets like the razor blade across the nipples and the eyes.
Yep,
Yeah, that's her.
I totally did not recognize her, man. That's
Yeah, the short hair throws you off, I think,
it
because normally
does.
she has like longer blonde hair, and it's
Mhm.
just such a distinctive look for her. It was hard to recognize her, but yeah, that was her.
Wow. Oh yeah, I see her right here. Duh, in the credits, Danielle Dory. That's crazy. I did not recognize her though. There's some really fun moments in this movie, man. This is one of those that um, it just kind of it gets you in a kind of a giddy mood, but at the same time, the subject matter's off. I mean, it's like weird that we're following these two girls that are doing, they're basically going to the communion or the what do you call it, the whatever, where the not communion, what is that freaking
Commune.
commune, thank you. And it's like, okay, we get it, but they are sex, whatever. But at the same time, I'm still having fun watching them. You got the weird guy that's doing the whole, he's got his face painted white,
Oh
doing kind of
yeah,
namaste guy type.
yeah, who's like all like obsessed with trying to get to his Lord and Savior or whatever he
Yeah.
says. Yeah,
Yeah.
some of the I gotta say, like, I'm not used to watching movies with subtitles very often. That's why I like the dubs. So some of the stuff like I couldn't remember exactly like what he was saying about his God or whatever, and then what exactly both Tina and Leah said about where they came from, their upbringing, like who their parents were. I know they talk about it at one point when they're being filmed, but
Yeah.
it's something that I just couldn't take all of the notes down to remember exactly what it was. But sometimes that's when the subtitles just don't, I just don't absorb them as well.
Yeah. Uh, the one thing he did say, and I can't quote it verbatim, but it was when he said something about the death, when he's talking about the closer you are to God, it's through death and something, I don't know. And Tina's like, whatever. Yeah, not listening. I think that's when she was in the bed or they were in the bed together when they had that little orgy thing going on that turned weird. But get to the theatrical side of this. The editing of the theatrical is 100% different than the version that we get in the director's cut. I will tell you, I 100% prefer the director's cut, but the ending of the movie in the director's cut, which we'll get to, is that hard to watch scene. That's actually the opening of the theatrical, and we get that scene up at the beginning, but then right before the ultimate thing that happens to them happens, it kind of freeze frames, and they're there, and then it goes into the movie with them hitchhiking, which made no sense whatsoever. And the editing versions, the grocery store scenes in there in a edited side, and then they end up going back to the grocery store again. uh, you know 30 minutes later in the movie, we get another scene in the grocery store, and it's just odd. It's just so, the editing in it's so choppy in the theatrical. I don't know how anybody made sense of it, bro. I'm telling you, it's almost unwatchable in my opinion. The Definitely go in if you get this or you watch it, watch the director's cut. Do not bother with the theatrical. It's not worth it. Just
So
ain't.
you watched it so others didn't have to, including me, because I've
Exactly.
never
Yeah.
watched it
Me too.
myself, by the way. Normally, by the way, I'm normally a person who likes to watch the dub things of movies. So that tells you what you need to know right there, that I didn't want to watch that
Yeah.
version of it either. So
No. It's
yeah. What's interesting to me about this movie, because again, I've talked about how I think it's about, women's sexuality and all that kind of stuff. I think it's also a film, and I think maybe Di Leo was going for this, maybe he wasn't. It highlights how women's sexuality is sometimes punished by various means, right? Sometimes it's punished by authority, the cops, in the case of them, having to turn to prostitution to live in this commune.
mhm.
It's usually punished politically by various laws, across history. I mean, this is however many years after Roe v. Wade became a thing.
Yeah.
Um, and now isn't a thing anymore, unfortunately. I don't know what it was like in Italy, but maybe there was something similar. I can't comment on that. But
Mm.
then it's also punished by men taking things the wrong way, like they do at the end, and that's the worst. Probably the worst form of punishment for it is.
Yeah.
But I will say this though, and I don't want to sound like a person who's victim blaming at all. Like I promise that is not what I'm going for here.
Mm.
But what I'm about to say is they're dancing with all these men.
Yeah.
They keep going, and it's like one of those things where it's almost like they're dangling a wallet and expecting you not to take it. And it's like
Right.
some people might end up going for that, so it's like I think, but I don't think the Leo in any way was trying to say that these women are bad women for the way they are.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the point of the film to him. I think he was trying to highlight those things that I just said, where they're actually punished for being like this in various ways where it should be accepted. I mean, in one of his bonus features, he did say something like, "Who are we to judge someone's sexuality?"
Right.
So I think that could encompass the film, just that statement.
Well, here's the thing. Like, let's go ahead and get to it. So we're going to go to the end of the movie, listeners. And here's the thing. Like for me, this whole movie has been not uplifting, but it's been up and beat. It's been happy. It's been, sexy, rompy, and the music's upbeat and all that stuff. And then we get to that scene, and it's basically a scene where Tina and Leah go into this. Whatever it is. I won't call it a bar. It's not a bar, but basically like a pool hall type thing. They go in and they got a jukebox. They start dancing, kind of provocatively, and these guys do get a little uptight because they want to have them now, and they end up shoving them and like, no, we're not prostitutes, whatever, and they take off. Well, then they're chased, and there's this scene that they're going around like some, I won't say wooded area, but anyways, there's some bushes in it. But they're running. They're trying to get away from them, and they're in cars. Two different cars coming. There's a pack of them. There's what, 10 of them, something like that. There's several, and they eventually get caught. So that scene is out of nowhere for me because it's like the movie's been kind of happy throughout. And then we get this scene where these guys are coming at her. And I'm going to be honest, and this is one of the hardest, roughest, without actual seeing a rape on screen.
Yeah, it's not a particularly graphic, well, other
It
than the
is. Yeah.
stick,
Yeah. The
but
stick.
yeah.
Yeah. But you don't see it, but at the same time, you know it's happening. And I think with the screams, with what all was going on, even Pearl turned her head. To me, it was super hard to watch. I thought it was harder than I Spit on Your Grave. I thought it was harder than Last House on the Left. Even though we saw graphically in those scenes, I felt like this one, it just felt that visceral. And it took me out. Like, I'm like, what are we watching? Like, we've been in this, kind of upbeat movie or whatever, and then all of a sudden we get this, and then it ends. There's no happy ending. It just ends, and I'm like, "Holy crap! What did you do to me, Fernando?" Like, dude, and it's super. So I want to. We got to do that. I got to warn you if you watch this movie, man, it's super hard to watch. I'm gonna be honest. Like, it's very. Do you agree? Like, it's visceral, man.
Yeah, it's up there because it's like one of those things where when it happens, you realize there is no way for them out of this, right? Whatsoever. They can't run because they're being kind of held down.
Hmm.
They can't really fight back because they're not exactly capable of that. And yeah, it's one of those things where there's not really anything to take refuge in,
Yeah.
anything to be happy about in that scene. It's not like they don't end up killing any of them. They don't find a way to fight back against it.
Yeah. So there's no revenge. There's nothing.
Right.
It just ends. And here's the thing: I will compare this to the theatrical. And during the theatrical, which happens at the beginning of the movie, we still get the chase sequence. We still get a abbreviated group of them. Basically, they grab the two girls, and then their clothes are ripped off, and then they're kind of you see something fixing to happen, and then it stops. You hear police sirens in the background. The next scene in the theatrical version is them hitchhiking on the road, like we see in the beginning of the director's cut, and we hear Tina telling her, "Boy, the cop showed up just in time." So we're led to believe in the theatrical they weren't raped. They were the police somehow showed up and saved them. In this one, there is no police showing up. There is no saving. There's a stick, and
Nor should there be, because the police are part of the issue as well. That's
they
kind of
are.
what I'm
They
trying
are.
to say. Is like I think Fernando wanted it to be that way, where he wanted them to be punished, but not necessarily because he wanted them to be punished, quote unquote. He wanted people to understand this is what can happen and this is what will happen because this is the way society sees this sort of thing.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. There again, disclaimer up front: if you watch this movie, man, be on guard because that ending is very, very, very visceral, man, very visceral. But overall, man, I thought the acting. I loved the Gloria character, or Gloria and Lily. I thought they were great at their characters. I felt like they were fun. They would be your hippie stoners, or whatever. Your sexy nympho, whatever you want to call them, man. They were fun. And Ray, like you said, I really liked Ray. I thought this character fit Ray. Like, this is him.
Yeah, it does.
Like you said, he's emotionless in one of the last movie we saw him in, and he's kind of. But this one, it's like perfect, man. This was your calling, Ray, is to be a stoner, laid back kind of guy that don't
He
have to
is
worry
a
about.
more versatile actor than people give him credit for because he can be your sort of pretty boy. He can play a cop if he needs to. We saw him play a cop in Private Crimes, I'd say very well.
He did.
Um, in Almost Human, he plays Tomas Million's henchman. He was actually originally supposed to play the Tomas Million role in that. I don't think that would have worked,
No.
but he plays the role in Almost Human very well as sort of the second guy who's a bit not willing to go to the same places as the main villain is. Let's put it that way. I mean, and he can play like in Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man. He plays like more of a tough cop in that one, more like an adrenaline junkie. We haven't covered that on the show yet. We will probably eventually, but he is a versatile actor. Like I give him a lot of credit.
Cool, cool. I just felt like this one so far of what I've seen, he definitely he crushed his scene in this.
Yes.
Really liked him. Other characters, the professor, whatever you want to call him, the guy, the encyclopedia guy is what I'm gonna call him. Hilarious. Uh, and that's Danielle Vargas. Love this character, man. Anybody else you wanted to mention out as far as character wise?
Vittorio Caprioli
Okay.
as like Nazarota or whatever,
Yes.
the leader of the commune. I and like the outfits that he wears are so like very weird and flamboyant. It's nice to see him again because we saw him, in The Boss as a cop. We saw him in Rulers of the City as sort of your old fashioned mafia criminal. You see him as the leader of this commune, so it's some versatility from him. I do like, the parts he has with the girls and like how he talks to them about what they can do to help the commune. Cause he basically says, look, like we have to pay for stuff. You can't just stay here for free. That's not the
Right.
way it works anymore. We gotta get rid of the trash. We got to do this kind of stuff. And he said, well, you can be prostitutes or you can, which they do for a little while, or you can
Yeah.
sell encyclopedias. Um, which they do through almost basically doing the same things as they would as prostitutes, but I guess they're not having to actually, it's more on their terms, I guess.
Yeah.
I like the part with that old guy who's like the book hoarder, that part with
Yes.
him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cool. I liked him too. Here's the thing too, because they didn't want to be considered prostitutes like that. Even there's the scene where they're hitchhiking. The two women pull up and they were getting ready to go to a women. It was a women's lib, and they're like, we ain't got bus money or whatever. So they were basically calling them prostitutes. We're not prostitutes. Even she gave her some money, to go get a bus ride. She said, I don't need your money. Here's your money, kind of deal. So they didn't want to be. They weren't prostitutes. They didn't want to be, and I think that's why they were like telling them like we're not prostitutes. Uh, Music wise, let's see who we got. We got Franco Campanino Campanino did the music in this one, so we got him. Let's see what he did. Iguana composed Killer Canto. Anything? I don't recognize anything here, Ian, that would come out. Anything I'd recognize him from musically wise.
Iguana, was it Iguana with the tongue of fire or was it just Iguana?
Just Iguana. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you like the music though?
Yeah, I did. I thought the human voice element of the music was really, really good. Like there's like that really I don't know, soprano sounding woman you hear in a lot of the music, and it's that was really good. And I like how at the end of the film they play the theme again, and it has like a completely different meaning. Like it's after such a dark scene, I
Yeah.
actually kind of like that.
Yeah, because that scene, man, it leaves you dark. It leaves you definitely there. Um, what else we got on this one? What do you got on dubbing for this one?
Well, nothing because it
Nothing
was
because you
all in
didn't watch any.
Italian.
Yeah. Yeah. Duh. Uh, and I don't guess we need to do All Star. Do we need to do our All Star, I guess, on this one?
We should, yeah. So Vittorio Caprioli, I already know this one. This is him going to superstar status because of The Boss and Rulers of the City. Daniele Vargas now an all-star because of Eyeball, where he played like
Nice.
sort of the older Vietnam veteran in
Yeah.
that movie. Ray Lovelock, I'm trying it, so I got to count here. Murder Rock. You haven't done so next week, actually, or maybe not next week, but one of these upcoming episodes might actually end up being his all-time great because one of his upcoming movies will be Autopsy. But
Okay.
To Be 20, Oasis of Fear, Private Crime. So that's four. So as of right now, he is a Hall of Famer awaiting the all-time great status.
You're getting there, Ray. You're getting there. Nice. I love it. So what else you got on this movie before we pass on into the ratings?
Not too much that I can think of. I mean, I think I did a good job explaining kind of my interpretation of what the movie was trying to say a little bit, and I think it's kind of interesting for that. And to me, it's kind of like an art house movie meets like a sort of a sex comedy in a way, and I appreciate it for that. It's not necessarily the type of movie that I would love, and because of the ending, it's not one that I can watch, over and over again. But it's an interesting film to be sure.
Yeah, I'm glad I watched it. It's not one that, and if I did rewatch it, I would probably stop right before that and just go ahead and shut it off because I don't really need to see that ending again. I will tell you once again, don't bother with theatrical version, listeners, just or viewers, go straight and just watch the Italian director's cut. And that's what should have been released. It just is smoother. The edited version is horrible, especially after watching it because I watched this version, the director's cut, Ian, and then I tried to watch the other version, and it was so because I knew how the director's cut went, and then when I tried to watch the theatrical, it's so chopped up and it made no sense. It's like, no, no, I'm good. We'll do it. Gloria Gitti and Lily Karate, the stars of this movie. So, what you come in for a rating on this one?
I had thought about I had thought about giving it a 6, but then I thought I don't think I can give this the same rating as Slaughter Hotel. I mean, this is a better movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just not necessarily my type of movie, so I can't give it like a really high rating, but I'll give it a 7.
Okay. It's odd. I'm a 7.5 on it. I'm a point 0.5 more than you on both of us. Crazy. So that's awesome. So 7 and 7.5. And this one I will rewatch again eventually, but I'm glad I own it. But you get it if you get the Raro. Okay. So the Raro's still out there. Where did we get these? I got mine off of
I think it was Amazon just for
Amazon.
me. Yeah,
Yeah. And it wasn't super expensive. It's not
like
like,
15 bucks.
yeah. And it comes in, like I said, that, and then you get the two disc. So you got the two disc set here, boom and boom, the director and the theatrical, and it came with this little booklet. So you got the little booklet there, which is kind
By Nathaniel Thompson. Shout out to Nathaniel Thompson,
of
we've listened to some of his commentaries before as well.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Great stuff there. So super glad to own it. So that is the episode as far as what we reviewed. Once again, Slaughter Hotel and To Be 20. There you go. So Ian, what are we going to be covering next?
So we'll start Forgotten Gialli Volume 3 right here.
Okay.
Probably we'll cover the first two films on there. So we'll do a Murder Mansion and Autopsy.
There you go. Murder Mansion and Autopsy from the Forgotten Jolly. There you go. Volume 3 set. So we're getting back into some Giallo. If you do get these, they do have the individual discs here. So that's kind of cool that they do that. But bam, I love and appreciate that. If you were fortunate to have got these when they first released, you would have got the cool hardback box, which are I've only got volume 8. I just got volume 8 recently. So you would have got like this cool box art with the three in it, and they would have been in individual discs, like three different cases. So if you were fortunate enough to get it when they first released, you would have had that. Now they kind of release them like this, which I'm fine with, Ian. I'll be honest.
Less shelf space.
It's less shelf space, and you got all three original discs, and I'm okay with that. So I'm cool. So that's what we're going to be doing. So once again, Murder Mansion and Autopsy. Okay, so we're going to do the Murder Mansion and Autopsy. So that'll be the next two movies that we'll do on the episode. So this has been the show tonight. I know. Sorry about the video went out on us about halfway through, so that probably made it seem kind of wonky and funky. And I apologize. Don't know what happened there, but that's technology for you. But at least we got through it, right? So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and pass around our outros here. Ian, what you got for closing?
All right. So you can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram at Ersonomics. You can add me on Letterboxd or Facebook just by typing in my name. And this was a fun show, fun movies to talk about. Looking forward to getting back to some good old fashioned Giallo movies.
Same. I'm super excited about that. Over for me, of course, Greg and Mortis. Just search Greg and Mortis. You'll find us Facebook, Instagram, X, all them spots. Of course, right here, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do that. Click that subscribe button. And every other Friday, you'll get a Black Glove Mysteries episode, as well as you'll see other stuff from me as well. I'll pop some things up. Recently did our yesterday I had Dr. Shock Dave Becker show up to the house, which was awesome. Him and his wife Jackie had a great time. But Dave and I and Pearl and Jackie went shopping, and Dave and I went into Barnes and Nobles, and I came out with the stack of movies for Criterion sale.
Nice.
So yesterday, while shopping with Dave, I ended up picking up The Sorcerer. So I picked up The Sorcerer, and then I picked up The Graduate, and then I picked up Fernando Fellini's 8.5, as well as The Wiz, and It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World. And so that was fun going with Jackie and Dave to that. And then I do want to say this too. I got to give this special shout out. It is, remember, happy 4th of July, because this is releasing, right, Pearl? On 4th of July, Ian. 4th of July. So happy 4th of
Nice.
July
Yeah.
if you're watching this on this. And there won't be no Mortis Vision this week. Pearl and I both have been kind of, with things going on and everything. So we're not going to do a Mortis Vision this week. So this will be the end of the show if you're listening to this on audio form. Video, This is going to be it. But like I said, I just said all that to say that Dave and I had a great time, and Pearl and Jackie and Criterion sales are still going live. If you're watching this in 2025, if you're watching it 26 or 27, I don't know what's going on in. But get on those Criterion sales and get some stuff on. But happy 4th of July from Pearl and I, from
Yeah,
Ian and I.
watch some Uncle Sam.
Oh, yes, yes. Great slasher movie. What other 4th of July movies? That's the only one I could think of right off the top of my head. And it's like,
That's one of the only ones I could think of. Yeah, for I can't really think of any other one. Maybe we'll end up getting Terrifier to do a Fourth of July movie or something. I don't know.
you're right.
With
Art.
all the holidays that he keeps doing for those, who knows? Maybe I mean Jaws kind of is a Fourth of July movie as well. Part of it takes place on the Fourth of July.
That's true. We could go with that one. So I hope you have enjoyed the show. Once again, subscribe. Thank you. Thumbs up. Every other Friday, you'll get a Black Glove Mysteries. Ian, love talking with you, brother. Appreciate you. So
Yep.
tune in over on landofthecreeps.blogspot.com. You can go check out this on audio form only on all your podcast platforms. So go follow us there as well. And shoot us a rating over. I'd love to get a 5-star rating from you. That helps the show if you'll do that for us as well. So we're going to sign out of here. And as we always like to say, we're going to do this because of Kyle. Ian, what do we got? What do we like to say?
Get your jelly on.
And for us, we're going to see you on the flip side. Help keep horror alive and do that one movie at a time, one review at a time. Till next time. Peace.